Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. We are proud to offer this series with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and the United Way of Tarrant County. These programs are recorded and are made available for viewing through a YouTube channel for future use. I am Martha Brown, your host for today's activities. Peggy Spear is with us today from the Amon Carter Museum of American Art. She's bringing us the thought of green in art. And Peggy, I want to see what you have that is green today. Take it away.
Hey, Peggy.
Yes.
When I saw green, I can only think of the Muppet Show that says, Kermit says, it's not easy being green.
I haven't thought of that in so long. Yes. It might not be easy being green, but we're going to look at some beautiful green where it looks
good.
Easy. All right. So green, a couple of years, gosh, we've been doing this for almost 2 years, gang. Last year we did, tried to do St. Patrick's Day, and surprisingly we had like no pictures of parades, or we had a picture of a priest, and that was about as like Irish as we got. So for St. Patrick's Day this year, which is tomorrow, we're going a little more abstract, and we're going to just go green. And so I've selected some artworks from our collection that have a lot of green, and in this instance this one has a lot of blue. So do you guys remember our friend Sarah Ann Lily Hardinge? We've looked at some of her little paintings in the past. The one of the beautiful farmhouse that had the little freezer house outside of it. We've looked at ones where the deer were just as big as the carriage next to it from like a pastoral scene. So here is another scene, Greenwood Waterfalls from 1 mile from Pleasant Grove, Texas, which, dude, this is like so vague. This is like outside Seguin in San Antonio area is where Sarah and Lily Hardinge was living. And Pleasant Grove, this was kind of an interesting tidbit I found in our files. Pleasant Grove is kind of the generic name for a new settlement in Texas. That was like at the time when new neighborhoods are being, or towns are being settled, people just generically refer to them as Pleasant Grove. And if you were to Google Pleasant Grove, Texas, there's like some place that pops up near Dallas. This is not that place. This is by Seguin off the Guadalupe River.
Okay.
And so what do you see?
I see.
Waterfall.
I would not picture this in Texas when I see it. Not at all.
Where would you name it if not Pleasant Grove? Where would you name it?
I would name it probably maybe in New York or someplace where there's a lot of water.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a lot of water back in 1853 than there is now.
I bet there was.
Mm-hmm.
Does it feel peaceful? Does it feel kind of chaotic? Does it feel almost idealized? What are you picking up from this?
I think it's very peaceful.
But yeah.
Tell her what you think.
I agree.
What do you think of this?
I would place it into Florida.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hans would place it in Florida.
Ooh.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going down.
He's almost kind of, like they're not, but they kind of look like a palm tree at first glance, just because of the really long trunks
Yes.
with nothing up until the top. So it does have
Yeah.
that tropical feel to it. You're very right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were palm trees.
I did too.
Yeah, I did too first.
I was wondering how the trees could grow in the water.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Well, maybe this is a seasonal thing, and the trees were growing in the dirt while the creek was down, the river was down.
It's probably a flooding season.
Yeah,
Flooding season, yeah.
Yeah,
not snow melt, but flooding season, right?
right. And in Texas, it's not snow melt, but a lot of
It's-
rain.
A lot of
Rainy
rain,
season.
yeah.
A lot of rain. Yeah. And
Or-
if it's along Guadalupe, there's a lot of flooding
Yeah.
during rainy season.
It's funny that you said that there were blue in it, Peggy. I only see green. Even the water to me is
Really?
green. Yeah,
Well, it's blue-green, blue-green.
like a
Blue
dark,
green.
yeah, or dark green,
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. when I first looked at it,
I was
the
looking
green
at
jumped out at me
beautiful
before
picture.
the blue, but that you're right. The blue really is just like a shade of green.
Yeah.
And you can see over here, if you get your binoculars out, we've got a little.
Little house.
Yeah. Yeah. We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, man, if it's flooding season, this house is, ooh, they're living dangerously if their house is this
That's
close
right.
to the water. You can see it kind of creeps
Yeah.
back there.
Oh,
But
my
these are
goodness.
some of the, first views of this area of Texas
Mm-hmm.
that are being recorded. So there aren't a lot of people, or, there isn't much that had been documented up to this point in this type of manner. So this is a watercolor that she painted, and it's on the whole thing itself is 6x8.
oh, that's small.
Yeah. And in the past, we've looked at her when we've seen some of her watercolors, she's using them as postcards, or she's just kind of making her a visual diary of where she is in Texas.
Okay.
And they came down, a story about her, which some of you might remember. They came down from, I want to say Boston area, to claim land that her brother, when he died, she inherited, but then they couldn't really find the land. And then she ended up having 3 babies. And so then they were in Texas for a lot longer than they had planned, but they did end up going back up north after a while. So, can you imagine coming from Boston to someplace down, Seguin, San Antonio area? Totally
Yeah.
different.
No.
Well, basically, now that you put this in more context, we've been down what was the river we did floating down the Guadalupe.
Guadalupe.
The San Marco, this was actually thought to be the San Marco for a while, but more research has proved that this is Guadalupe. So it could have been San Marco too, if it's not Guadalupe.
But anyway, there's a point where we had to get out of the river because past that point was considered an advanced kayaking river.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, maybe I can imagine this being in Texas.
Yeah. Oh, that would be some good rapids for kayaking, huh?
Yeah.
Mm.
Ooh, not my style of fun, but somebody's
Nope.
fun.
Nope.
All right. So of course, when you talk about nature, or when you talk about the color green, you cannot escape nature, which means you cannot escape our good friend Elliott Porter. It wouldn't be a session without Elliott Porter, would it?
Mm-hmm.
That's
No.
right.
So this is pretty typical of the landscape photographs we're seeing of Elliott Porter. This is this particular photograph was taken in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Have any of you ever been there?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Dang, all of y'all, most of y'all have been. Good on you. I've
Yep.
never been. This is like on my list. Is it a beautiful park?
Mhm.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Rusty.
And it's the smoky part is kind of interesting
Mhm.
to see because it really does make you think that there's
It's eerie.
it's eerie. It's kind of eerie. Is what I say.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, how
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, so he went, and this is taken in the spring. That, new green leaves is kind of the tip off on that, but this feels like early spring. I mean, do you get the sense of maybe what that smell would be like, or what those sounds would be
Oh
like?
yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
This reminds me a lot of where we lived in North Carolina,
Well,
which
it's
is
that Appalachian area.
yeah,
So.
which is in the Smoky Mountains, because it's like that. You could smoke in the morning. It'd be like smoke covered in the morning. But where we lived in North Carolina, Transylvania County had the most waterfalls of any place in North Carolina.
Oh, how cool.
And so this is reminding of some of those same scenarios.
Yeah, you can see it doesn't seem like it's full throttle yet, but you can still see it's beginning of spring. So it's that snow melt might start to happen. And
Yeah.
Well, and some of it, and it's not like a ring, it's flowing out of the cracks in the wall.
Yeah. So
the rock.
spring water.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it says Roaring Fork Road, which if you've been before, you might have actually been on this particular part of the park. It's like a 6-mile scenic drive that has a lot of switchbacks and things like that. And it's only cars can go on it. Trucks can't fit, buses. It's really just for, you know, a tinier vehicle to sneak through. So, although in true Porter fashion, while he's on this road, we don't know he's on this road. It feels like he's just smack dab in the middle of nature. He's always really good at cutting out the human influence, the human touch, the human presence in his photographs. And this is no exception. All right, so again, you can't leave Porter alone. So we've got another Porter.
Oh, now that's his green.
That's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
this
that's
is, we're in a different park, a different national area, you know, or whatever recreation area. This is in Glen Canyon, which is in Utah, right near Lake Powell.
Oh,
Well, right before, I guess, what became Lake Powell.
yeah, really.
He was on a rafting trip in the early 60s and of course brought his camera and was capturing all of these really beautiful canyons and rocks and colors that he was finding while the construction of the Glen Canyon Dam was happening.
Oh,
And
really?
so these photographs were published for 2 reasons. One, it was an attempt to stop the government from building this dam. And 2, to show then people, well, if this dam's moving forward, this is what the land looked like before before the dam was opened.
Yeah.
So that green, I mean, isn't it just wild?
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
You can almost smell it. It's so rich.
Like that earthy smell.
Yes.
It almost looks like pollution to me.
It does to me
It
too.
does,
That's
it
what I
does.
thought, so, Susie. That looks like there's some sort of oil on it mixed into the water there.
Yeah.
Or
And
somebody's dyed it green for St. Patrick's Day.
I was gonna say, it's got that Chicago river feel to me, the river in Chicago, where they dye it.
What is reflecting into it? Is it trees above it or the sun? And
I think it's the sun. I think it might be the mineral content too that's playing with the light, because he's in these canyons. And if you look at pictures, this particular image is in a portfolio of 10, and he's really focusing on the rock formations and things. So he's really in the canyons. You're not seeing a ton of trees. So I think it really is the reflection of the light, the way he developed it too. Might have contributed. I mean, he's very true to trying to capture the richness of the color, but the process he uses helps enhance those colors, really, really thicken them and make them have that opaqueness to it. So it could be a combination of his technique and what he's actually seeing.
Hey, what kind of camera did he use?
Gosh, oof. Why did you ask me that, Don? I don't know.
Oh, you don't have to answer it. That's fine. Maybe you answered before. I don't know.
No, I know. You know what? I think because he was on a raft, I don't think he was bringing his bigger camera. If for like his birds, he would have what is it, a 4x5, a larger camera that he would have on a tripod that would be tripped by wires if birds were around. This was probably more handheld, definitely more handheld, and
okay.
Probably a 35 millimeter.
Probably.
Yeah. And it could be, the green could be, in my thought, a sun reflection coming, if it's in a canyon, coming down there. And even though you still got that kind of dark area in the middle of the green, because that's raised, it wouldn't have the water on it.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it goes back. You can see all the way to the top.
It almost looks like a sunset, sunrise, kind of coming through the canyon.
Yeah, well, there's a blue sky almost. You can see that at the lower part of the
So yeah.
So I thought this was a cool green one. What were you going to say, Don? Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, I was just going to say that getting back to what we were talking about, or that color green just screams to me radioactive for some reason.
Yeah, it does.
Which is funny because the point of these photographs was to show the pure nature of it.
That's
And
true.
so-
That's true. I understand.
No, but
I said,
it has that radioactive vibe to it. So it's,
yeah,
he's kind of ahead of his time.
yeah.
It's the
Well,
color of antifreeze.
Say that again, Martha?
It's the color of antifreeze.
A lot of antifreeze, yes.
Yeah.
But it
Oh,
could
so
be
it's
also
a
a
nature
point, you
picture.
know,
It's a beautiful picture of nature.
yeah, absolutely.
So you can't take away from that.
No, you can't.
No, so this,
People could also look at it as this is pollution from the construction.
it could be too. He was trying to avoid the human destruction
Mhm.
and capture the natural beauty.
Right.
So there was another photographer who did go in. Oh no, that was with the Great Smoky Mountains. There was another photographer who was doing work at the same time showing these, indigenous lands that are just being destroyed by humans.
Oh, yeah.
So, there's a lot of things. I mean, and this is in the 60s too. So there's a lot of things happening, with
Yeah.
environmental awareness
Mhm.
and movement and national parks being more respected and things like that. So there was a lot at play, and he was known for the Sierra Club. Really, I think it was the Sierra Club with this particular portfolio was really interested in trying to, advocate for preserving our lands. Let's not put a dam. So that he worked multiple times in his career with advocacy organizations that were trying to stop the destruction of the earth.
Okay, Peggy?
Yeah.
Did you say what he was documenting this for? Was it for some dam
It
project?
started off just as something, he was on a rafting trip and was just capturing beautiful
Yeah.
photographs. And then it turned into more to that when he showed people his photographs. They were published then with an agenda to influence the government.
Okay,
Which it didn't necessarily for this project, but it did slow down these types of projects
Yeah.
in the country.
okay.
Not this single-handedly, but this was part of the larger picture of the government slowing down some of these dam projects and things like that.
Wow.
All right, now we're
That's
like
powerful.
totally switching gears
Ooh.
and we're going totally abstract.
Oh, abstract.
I'm gonna take you from beautiful reality to something totally out of this world.
Oh, that hurts.
Not loving it, Martha?
No.
Anyone else loving this?
Well, it's a nice color palette that he's using. I mean, it's abstract, so you're supposed to you make of it what you think it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
To me, it looks like the bottom there where all those black strands are. That looks like somebody's hair or something's hair.
Oh, how funny. Yeah.
I don't understand how you can get a green hornet if it's supposed to be an insect.
I don't.
It's- No.
I have like so little to say about this artwork, you guys, but I just thought green was in the title. I was expecting something natural when I was going to open up the image, and this is what I got. I was like, well, I'm taking my friends for a ride now. So I threw it in.
maybe he had just watched the Green Hornet when
The
he
Green
did it.
Hornet, yeah, that was a TV series back then. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, comic lover. He so this particular artist was a second generation abstract expressionist. So we've got it here, abstract expressionism. We don't know what he's drawing, but it feels happy. I mean, it doesn't make me feel stressed or sad or confused. I mean, it has the colors, like you pointed out, Don, are happy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This was when one of his stints at the Tamarind Institute in LA. This was we've had so many artists come through that Tamarind, and this was his time. He was primarily a painter, and so the Tamarind, allowed these artists to try a medium that they weren't familiar with, to attempt to elevate the medium of a lithography that was often viewed as a lesser fine art than painting or sculpture.
It almost looks like something from Dr. Seuss.
That's what I was just gonna say, Steve. It's Dr. Seuss colors.
Yeah, well,
It is.
with that little hat and the things and kind of the like one of the green, like the Grinch or something, the arm, almost a Dr. Seuss type of.
Yeah,
image,
this will be more on the order of the Grinch, I think.
The Grinch. Bye, Steve.
No, by Roger and Marianne.
Oh.
Okay.
Bye, friends.
Well, I'm staying with you today. I'm staying with you today.
I was like, oh my gosh, is it already almost 11? My Lord.
No, I don't have my other session for another couple of weeks because of
okay. You're on spring break too.
Because of the 5th Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is I could not find anything about it. This is from the portfolio. Folio is called 8 from 9.
Yeah.
I don't know which even print number this is, but he spent a couple between 1960 and like 72. He had multiple visits with the Tamarind Institute. So he enjoyed using this medium, and he a lot of his artworks are very similar that he painted in theme and color. And so he was from Philly, enlisted in World War II. When he came back, he moved to San Francisco, met his wife, then moved back to New York after his wife's mom passed away, and then stayed in New York the rest of his life. So he was going back to California then for these residencies at the Tamarind. So this is just a weird green one that I thought, why not?
Sure.
Yeah.
One more, and this is another abstract one, but it's the colors of the Irish flag. So I thought we'll just throw it in.
Oh yeah,
That's happy.
It is. It kind of.
I don't know. I'm trying to gauge Yetta's feel. I know she has mixed emotions about these.
I just do not care for abstract.
Man, one of these days I'm gonna find one. This is a challenge for me now. Challenge accepted.
You got to think about this, Yetta. Most logos are abstract.
I
That's right.
know.
Mm-hmm.
No, so
That's a point, Steve.
yeah.
I know.
That's
So this is a W, huh?
Yeah.
The lower
looks-
part.
Yeah, it is like a Whataburger, only half green.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, get your corned beef sandwiches at Whataburger on St.
That's right. That's
Patrick's Day.
right.
It
The
looks
top
to me
looks like Mickey Mouse with
waterfall.
odd colors.
Does. Wait, Hans,
no, a beard.
a beard.
Yes.
A beard.
Oh,
Like
Mickey
right
Mouse
here?
with a beard.
Mickey Mouse with a beard.
Yeah.
2 of them.
Yeah.
Or a ball game. They're gonna drop balls into the bees.
Yeah, that's true. It'd be like a pinball game.
Yeah.
It's just cheery. Everything you guys are saying are just like happy thoughts and good feelings. So this artist, we've looked at the ones that have been very abstract in the past. We've looked at before. Yetta has not cared for his other work as well. He was an abstract expressionist and pop art, color field. He was working, during these times of very recognizable, very bright, very simple colors and patterns, but very different, movement in the art world than what people are used to seeing. And so he was primarily a painter, but like all the good artists at the time, they're invited to the Tamarind Lithography Institute, and he went. And so this is one of his works when he was there. And go ahead.
Well, what this is an abstract thought, okay? But if you take the green dot on the left and you drop it down, the 2 orange dots come out of that. If you take the orange dot on the right and you drop it down into the green V, 2 green dots come out of it.
You're putting some good thought into this, Steve, and I love it.
I'm sorry, it just.
He's trying to.
That is an abstract thought, Steve.
That's
Certainly is.
very sequential thinking. I like it.
It's
Yeah.
kind of splitting the atom.
Well, can I say to you what Frank Stella is an American artist that I adore his work. He was in color field abstract. You would recognize his work. He literally just painted lines and circles. I mean, his work is very beautiful and just a almost very simple and pure way. And this is what he says about abstract art, which is George Sugarman was in this mindset. What you see is what you see.
That's right. I get that.
That's
So,
right.
Steve,
I
I love
like
this
going with Mickey
theory
Mouse.
of, yeah. But what you see is what you see. There's nothing more than what we see. This is it.
Yeah.
So just circles and V's.
The circles and V's and color, and it feels balanced. It doesn't feel
Yeah,
No,
weighted one way or
it is
the other.
balanced, yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, those are our green images for today.
Okay.
All right.
Kind of
Well,
a
thank
random
you,
ride, but I'm glad we
Peggy,
learned y'all.
those are great.
I'm glad
Yes.
you like. Next week we're back with spring, so I have a feeling we'll be seeing Elliot Porter again.
Okay, oh, that's fine with me. That's, he's
Yeah, we
great.
like that.
We'll
Yeah.
see what we can drum up from Elliot Porter, but yeah, we'll be back next week with spring. So have a good St. Patrick's Day and spring break if you're enjoying your spring break, and I'll
Yes.
see y'all next week.
All right,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Peggy.
Peggy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Great.
Bye.
Thank you, Peggy. Well, let's take a look and see what's coming up before we go to Fifth Street Cafe. Are y'all sharing screen with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm doing Jeopardy at 11:30 and 1:30 today.
Okay.
And tomorrow, drum roll, TCU Frog Bingo
All
at
right.
10:30 and 11:30. And at 1:30 tomorrow, we're doing a replay of the Texas A&M presentation.
Okay,
If you
okay.
wanted to hear that again, you're welcome to come on and shine.
I don't remember that.
They were
That's-
doing a project about
The research
caregivers,
project.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they were wanting people to
Yes.
sign up.
Yes.
Because Gail
Yeah.
had finally, I think it was just this week that she
Yeah.
finally sent out the information.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
right. And we're going to stop the recording here.